Good afternoon, everyone. And
Hello,
hello, Nathan. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining today. And um, and welcome to this monthly talk from Brixton Inner Space Outreach. Today we have a very interesting theme, um, beyond should be. There have been occasions, when I have come home and the kids have been having some problem or other, and I wondered, oh, after such a tired day, why can't I get some peace of mind? There may have been occasions where, your colleague whom you have always helped, and the one time you wanted some help from that person, and that person refused, and you have wondered why, in spite of me doing everything, why is this person behaving this way? I'm sure all of you would have had situations like this in your life before, or a similar situation where you have wondered, why can't people meet some simple expectations? Well, our habits, personalities, preferences, priorities are all very, very different from each other. And it's impossible for anyone to be like someone or someone to be like us. And this can happen in spite of our authority, role, or responsibility. It does not matter how simple or right our expectations are. So let's try and move away from expecting from families, friends, colleagues, society, and let's try and be our way and accept people as they are. Easier said than done, I know. um, we can advise, accept, instruct, and we can do all that and even state our opinions respectfully. But let's try and not be sorrowful, not be emotional when they don't meet our expectations. Here today, we would experiment with this belief system to accept is normal and trying to move away from the belief system to expect is normal. When we come into acceptance of others, we are able to remain emotionally stable under all circumstances and also have harmonious relationships. One truth is that no other human being can think, speak, and
Okay.
act like we do. Someone has the audio on. Could you kindly, I think it's Leather Chechi, if you can have your uh, speaker off, or if you can mute, that would help, please. So no other human being can think, act, and speak like us. But how many times have we thought, oh, why can't this person speak in a more polite tone? Why can't this person be like this? In spite of all that I did, why can't this person be like that? The load of such futile expectations blocks our own energy of love and peace. You know that we are energies of peace, love, and happiness. But we have forgotten this fact, and we have identifying with the role, with the body, with our opinions, and that's the root cause of all our sufferings. Let's try and uh, sit back and do some introversion and program our thoughts and feelings about others. Let's try and see them as who they really are and not try and see them through
ഞങ്ങളുടെ
acts they
കഴിഞ്ഞോ
do,
മീറ്റിംഗ് ഞാൻ
through
പറഞ്ഞു
the acts they do. Let's not try and see them based on what they are doing, but who they are originally. When we do that, we will not succumb. We won't hit back.
ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്
John
ചെയ്യില്ല.
Korean, can you please mute, please? John Korean, I request you to mute. You are being heard everywhere. I request you to please mute this.
Mute. What is
Can you?
already mute? Mute. I don't see muting.
Okay. Can someone help John Korean? Maybe with speaker button, if you can silence it, or I would request you, to be silent so that others can listen. So, you know, it's, but while we discuss all this, it's an absolute truth that others may be triggers. They may be triggers, but our inner state of mind has no connection with anyone external or anything external. Our inner state of mind is totally ours. It's our own inability not to absorb these negative energies associated with these negative acts, if they are negative acts, that's causing us to react in a negative way. So if we need to change that behavior, we need to, what do we need to do? We need to sit back and program our thoughts and feelings about others so that we can not hit back, not succumb, not blame or complain. It's very, very difficult, but definitely achievable. When we do that and take charge of our inner state of mind, we can choose how we can respond and take control of how we respond. Viktor Frankl, the great Austrian neurologist, had a famous quote: between stimulus and response, there is a space. And it is in that space lies our freedom and the power to choose our response. And it's in these responses lie our growth and happiness. For some people who have had tough upbringing, the space may be less. Who have born without parents, the space may be less. And for other people who have had good upbringing, stable environment in the house, good educational background, the space may be larger. But the truth is, there is that space. Some people who have this tough environment, who have been part of tough environments, know how to work and increase that space so that they can choose how they respond. They develop the ability to do that through their determination, patience, and hard work. Other people who may have had very large spaces, even in spite of very good upbringing, good educational background, because of carelessness or laziness, they may not use that space in the right way, because of which they make the wrong choices. So when we are able to move away from these expectations and learn to accept people, we stop doing these knee-jerk reactions or, impulsive responses. And when we are able to accept people as they are, it sustains our own happiness, it sustains our own peace, and influences others positively. Now, once a lady who asked me during one of our talks, Bobby, is it practical to live a life without expectations? You are a householder, you are a dad, you are a son, you are a professional, but is it possible to lead a life without expectations? Now, before this spiritual journey, I would have said, yeah, it's almost impossible. It's theoretically, we might say all these things, yeah, accept everyone as they are, etc., etc. But most of us find it impossible to do this when it practically comes when our buttons are being pressed. Once I have come into the spiritual, then I should say, confess that I am still a work in progress. I have still working on some relationships that I have where, when the buttons are pressed, sometimes I react rather than respond. So it's not easy. It's a daily learning, daily efforts that we need to put in to achieve that status, move from that illusion we are under. We are thinking that, oh, when somebody says this, somebody does that, they hurt me. It's very natural for me to feel the way I am feeling because of them. But that's not true. In this spiritual journey, I have absolutely found the fact that that is not true. And the happiness, the peace that you get when you experience your own peace, love, and happiness, and the inner freedom that you experience is absolutely great. So, for the next half an hour or so, I want to share some slides. We have talked about what we can experience when we learn to accept and not expect, how we can experiment with this belief system of to accept, how we can get to that belief system to accept is natural and not to expect is natural. So let me share let me share my screen. I hope you can see my screen, all of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, great, thank you. So you see some foundational insights, which is very, very important. We talked about, you know, um, we are consciousness. We are not the body, not the role. Nikola Tesla, you might have heard his name, had a famous quote. If you need to know about the secrets of the universe, you need to think about energy, frequencies, and vibrations. I hope you all know who Nikola Tesla is, that the famous car company Tesla is named after him. He was a great inventor. He's the reason why we use alternating current in our house. This is the most famous invention is that great electrical engineer and inventor. So that was his famous statement. We are an energy. We are not the body, not the role. And we can experience this only through meditation when we go into introversion and learn to emerge these original energies within us, energies of love, peace, and happiness. That is when we really are able to feel these energies that's already within us. But what's happened to all of us? We have been identifying with our role, with our body, because of which what's happened? We have become more of human doings and human havings. We have become so action conscious. We always want to do things and have things, and we have identified our own. Our own identity is connected to how we look, how much possessions I have, because we have been conditioned like this by the society, like by our parents, by the educational system, everything. The more you acquire, the more secure you feel. But your happiness do you really get that out of all these things? People, possessions, positions? You may be the richest man, but you need not be happy. You can give you comforts, but not necessarily happiness. because they are all temporary. Whether it's people, whether it's possessions, whether it's positions, they are all temporary. So to come into this awareness that we are this energy is super important for us to achieve this stage of acceptance is normal and to move away from the belief system to expect is normal. So, how do we come into this awareness? When we come into this awareness, we experience, we don't need a reason to feel peaceful. We don't need a reason to feel loveful. We don't need a reason to feel happy. This is the awareness of your being. Then you are really a human being, not a human doing, not a human having. You are able to be the being when your awareness is able to be that. You don't feel happy because of some external thing, because I'm having the best food I love. I'm not feeling happy because I'm in the company of the people whom I care about and the company. No, no harm in enjoying the company and having the best food that you have. No issues at all. But when you, if you have to be the being, come into the awareness of a being, then there is no reasons. You don't need a reason to feel peaceful, loveful, and happy. That is when your awareness is that of a being. We will talk about how we can move to that awareness in the subsequent slides. And it's super important, before coming into this journey, I too thought, attachment is love. Attachment and to be emotional is very natural for a human being. To feel sad and happy is part of life. It's part of life, and it's okay to be emotional. But now I understand when I am experimenting and learning about spirituality and being a student, coming into this awareness and able to experience it, at least in some portions in my life, that, this feelings of peace, love, and happiness, these are pure feelings when you are able to be the being. Feelings of peace. You don't need to have a nice ocean or be on holiday to feel peaceful. You don't. You don't need to be quiet. When you are in the high state of awareness, nothing external will start affecting you. And you don't need an agenda to love someone. You see, so much time love is mistaken with attachment. I have close family people in my family who think attachment is love. Attachment is more is very much an emotional dependency. I'm not saying there is no love. There is love, but that love has an agenda. I will love you if you are like this. So when you are in the awareness of a being, you experience peace as calmness. You experience love as care for the other person, irrespective of what the other person is doing. And you experience happiness as contentment. This is a very high state of awareness. While I am saying this, I should mention that I am also a work in progress, but I am also a student, trying to be in that state of awareness. But I can tell you from where I have started and where I am today, it's absolutely convinced about this fact that, when you are able to be the being, you don't need anything external to feel peaceful, loveful, and happy. And it's so important to understand what is exactly attachment to really understand why we become emotional. So both are feelings, the pure feelings of peace, love, and happiness, which I talked about, is the feeling when we learn to be the being. Emotion also is a feeling. That is the feeling. It's also a feeling. I love the definition of emotion, which we will talk about in the subsequent slide. But for that, you need to understand why you become attached. And love is a pure feeling. It's not an agenda. You don't need an agenda to be loveful. When you are in the being zone, or when you learn to be the being, you don't just love your family and friends or people who are nice to you. You will start loving everyone that you interact with. You become loveful. So it's a state of being and not an emotion. So let us try and understand this word attachment. You see, when we see things at two places. See things through the physical eyes, and we also create a version of what we see in our mind based on our background, based on our earlier experience, etc., etc. You see? And this is an example of a car where, we see the car. I bought a new car, I have parked it outside, and somebody scratched the car. How do you feel? When I was discussing with another friend, he said, no, yeah, you may say all this, but I'm the guy who's paying for the scratch to be removed. It's my money that's going. See, what happens really is you have the image of the car outside, but you also have the image in the screen of your mind. You see? And I create an attachment to that image, that car. It's my car. And so when the scratch happens to the car, you feel the scratch has happened to me. Of course, you need to deal with whatever is needed to fix that scratch. But you know, you don't need to become emotional. The reason why you are becoming emotional is because you have identified with the car as part of you. You see, you have identified it is my car. So anything happened to my car, it's okay for me to get angry. It's okay for me to get upset. It's okay for me to be irritated. No, when you really understand this aspect of attachment, you learn how to create a relationship of non-attachments to people, to positions, to possessions, everything. And that brings us nicely to the next slide. I can't see the next slide. Why is it not coming? Yeah, you see what. And what do we see? We attach not just to car, that's one of the objects. We attach ourselves to things, places, ideas, people, beliefs. And that's the reason, you can see in the screen of your mind, there's a car. Oh, this is my husband, my wife, and I believe my belief system. So I believe these people should be like this. Oh, if you are a wife, you should be behaving like this. If you are my son, you should be behaving like this. When you are having this belief systems and you are attached to that image, you lose yourself in what is on your mind. You see? So you start blaming people for the way you see. Your mind is your mind. Okay, the other people may be triggers. What people and situations are not within your control. But your mind is not in their hand. Is it in their hand or our hand? What you create, remember what I said. You create two versions. When you see a person, you create a version of that person in your mind. Yeah. And you experience this feeling. If that person has done some negative acts to you, created trauma to you, the moment you see that person, that memory of what that person has done to you is expressed as a feeling of hatred or revenge if you don't like the person. And you can check this because you feel the way you feel. Your feelings happen in the mind. You see, you can check what I am saying. Don't believe anything, but please experiment. The mind, Everything happens in two places: outside, what you see, what you hear, and what you take it in, because you have created that attachment to your idea, to that person should be behaving like this, or if it's an employee, he should have that behavior, and it's right for me to become angry if he is not behaving that way. So that is where the problem is happening, due to attachment. So it's very, very important to understand why you become emotional is because of these attachments that you have created in your mind. You are identifying with what you are attached to. You may be attached to people. You may be attached to the car, like in the example I said. You may be attached to a position. You may be attached to your idea. Oh, this section of people are always like that. So you see somebody from in belonging to that sect, you already come into the feeling of a negative impression about that person because that person belongs to a particular sect. See, it's because of your attachment to that idea. So that brings a nice definition of emotion. This is a definition of Mike George, one of our yogis in our university. I didn't understand. I wouldn't have understood this definition. You need to understand spirituality for you to really appreciate this definition of this emotion. And I'm going to tell you with examples. Okay. So, emotion, we talked about pure feelings. Is that what you have in the awareness that you are a being and not the body, not the role, not your idea, etc.? That's a pure feeling. Emotion is also a feeling, but it's not natural. It's a disturbance in the energy. We talked about that we are this energy. When this energy goes out of the body, this body becomes a dead body. We are this energy. We are an energy vibrating at a constant frequency, vibrating at different frequencies. When we are angry, we might have a different frequency, and other people can experience this when they come near us, even though we don't say anything. So we are this energy vibrating at constantly vibrating at a frequency. So emotion is a disturbance in that energy of my consciousness when the object of attachment is lost, threatened, damaged, or moved. And this object can be a person, can be a belief system, can be an object, can be a memory. I know about a person who who's always identifying with that memory of the other person, having done a lot of trauma to this person. So the moment that trauma, that is association happens, that person experiences the feeling of negativity, feeling of may I request Pushpalata, could you please mute your speaker because I think we can hear. So you see, this is what happens. This is happening. This disturbance is happening because, or emotion is happening because this energy that who we are, that is being disturbed when whatever I am attached to is lost, threatened, damaged, or moved. So I'll take everything. When something which I am attached to is lost, I become sad, and there's a sense of loss. That sense of loss moves to irritation, irritation moves to fear, anger. It's a cycle of suffering. And you justify this emotion. Hey, this is my it's because I have lost it, I'm feeling, so I'm justified in feeling this way. It's a very When we are in the awareness of a being, yeah, if something is lost, you need to do everything in your power to recover it or do whatever, but you don't need to become angry or hurt or this one. That is because of attachment. And when some people with OCD, or when something is, I am justifying, this thing needs to be kept here because that's the right place to keep it. And when it is moved, I feel irritated. And it's very natural for me to feel irritated. Why? Because that's the right thing. And I've told the person so many times to keep it where it is supposed to be kept. So I'm justified in my emotion because that's the right place to keep it. And when it's moved, it's okay for me to become angry. You see, you are attached to that. My opinion is the right opinion. And when anything happens to that, I become emotional. And I keep justifying this, and you keep creating more and more, become more and more emotional, and you are disempowering you, the soul. So, this definition of emotion is very accurate because I'm even today I'm experimenting with this. Whenever I experience an emotion, I know that there is some subtle attachment to something or someone or some aspect in my consciousness which I need to identify and remove. And that is when I would be able to come back into my original feeling. Instead of justifying today, earlier, before this spiritual journey, I used to justify my emotion, even with my children. Oh, I've told them 3 or 4 times they are disobeying me, so I have every right to get angry. That used to be my line. But now it's not. I do my very best in doing my role. But what now, understanding some spiritual truths, the law of karma, all those aspects, I do my very best in my power, but I will not become angry. I will not take sorrow because of something. That if I am doing that, that is due to an attachment.
Hello, Fresh. Bring back dinner time.
Hello, Carolyn, could you please mute your uh, speaker? Because I think we can hear it. So I hope that's you're clear with. So now, is it practical to lose attachments? So let's explore that. What happens now? I hope it's clear how we we have grown to justify our emotions because of our attachments. You see, I told you earlier that you might have heard me say this example many times of a mother in UK, and she loves her son. Single mom, brought her son up, and when the son went to university, graduated from Cambridge in top honors, he got the best job that he wanted in Australia, and the mom didn't allow him to go there. And the boy, of course, tried to get other jobs, but because he was attached to that concept of, that's the job which I wanted. That's the job which would make me happy. He he didn't get a similar job, and because of which he became depressed. And now he's not even going out of home. He's been classified by doctors as being clinically depressed. And even today, the mom is saying, "Oh, no, no, no. It's my love for him that didn't allow him to go to Australia." Is it love? Love would never, ever want something negative to happen for the people whom you care about. See, I told you, love is only about caring. There is no agenda for love. So, what was happening to this mom? Mom had emotional dependency of wanting to see the son around. And she's mistaking that in spite of son being depressed and staying at home, and this might be the case with many others, our own emotional dependency is mistaken for love. This is clear attachment. You see, I'm not saying there's no love. Love, spiritual rule of love says you can care, you can share, you can inspire, but you cannot possess. The person is not a thing that you can hold on to and possess. If you truly love someone, you will care about what the other person wants. So attachment happens, because people are under the mistaken impression that my own emotional dependency is mistaken for love. Okay, let me just move to the next slide. So now the important, very important slide, the last 15 minutes, I would like to open it up for questions, very practical questions, if I can. Now, how do we climb out of this illusion? You see? So now how can we move from we said, we have all been justifying our own expectations. I am expecting this, like the mom who asked me, it's okay. How can you not want your kids to do well, Bobby? Isn't that an expectation? You are a dad. Now, I still want the best for my children, and will do my absolute best so that they are able to do the best. But now I don't get worried if they don't meet those expectations. That's the difference. And that's because I'm in the process of climbing out of this illusion and coming into this awareness. That does not, it does not mean that, if you have a job, you have still got to be motivated fully to realize your potential to the best of your ability. That is absolutely, if you don't do that, you are doing a negative karma to your role, as whatever your job responsibility. But we have become so attached to, oh, I will do this job because I want this promotion. I will try my best. Once you have this awareness, you will try your best, but you won't get upset if the outcome is not there. You will know how to deal with it. That's the difference. But let's see what happens. This is not an easy journey because we have become so conditioned to justify our emotions when expectations are not met. And when we keep justifying these emotions, we are getting into bigger and bigger trouble and blaming other people and situations for our expectations not being met. Yeah, other people and situations are not within your control. But how I respond can be within my control, provided I am in the right awareness. If I am still choosing to stay in illusion, I will continue to experience what I have always experienced. Now, let's talk about the first stage of illusion that many people have. The world is happening to me. You see? I am feeling hurt because of what they said, because of what they did. It's called the, victimitis. And a lot of us, it's the lowest denomination in the society. And we all are, at some point if we are blaming another person for the way we feel, we need to know that we have been affected by victimitis. And victim or a slave. If somebody might have done a wrong act, but if you are blaming that person for the wrong act and the way you feel is due to that, that means you have become a slave to that person or the situation. So, slave, victim, beggar, these are all the lowest denomination of the society. When you think the world is happening to me. Now, once we start on the spiritual journey, when we learn to experience ourselves as a being, when we start to experience these feelings of pure feelings, if that is feelings not being influenced by anything external, pure feelings of peace, love, and happiness, which are already within us, that is when we start moving up this arrow. Can you see my cursor moving?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So that is when we start moving up this arrow towards a state of awareness. So then you'll go from the world is happening to me to the world is happening for me. How do I do that? I look at, I have some people still in my life who presses my button. So earlier I used to find fault with them, but now I use this mechanism. I imagine a yellow sticky poster saying teacher for patients, on the forehead and use it as an education, how I can use this person or this situation to be an education so that I can move. To look at it as entertainment is a far, we can talk about it later. It needs to be in another session. You really need to have a very high state of awareness to be that way, not in a negative way. but be that way. But you could experiment with, okay, this person, we learn about the eight powers of the soul. The power to tolerate, power to face, power to accommodate, power to discern and decide. All these are powers of the soul, but we need to learn to use these powers when we need these powers. So these kind of tough situations, people who press your buttons, we can use them as a means for educating yourself, so that you can move up this ladder, so this arrow. So you see, okay, this is happening for me. This is happening for me to improve my power to tolerate, improve my power to face. This does not mean that you are allowing yourself to be treated as a doormat. You learn to be in your self-respect and respond. What is power to tolerate? What power to tolerate is you are able to put up with some inconveniences, but still be compassionate for the other person. Whether I have to use the power to face or power to tolerate. Some people, you are not, you will think that you are using the power to tolerate, but you may not want to be unpopular. So you may not want to say the right thing. Although in principle, you may be believing something, you may be afraid to say whatever because you don't want to be unpopular you know so that's the power to face. So you can, once you understand these spiritual truths and learn to uh, be the being, you can start up moving on this arrow. So these two things I think I have already discussed. Everything in me, everything exists in two places. We talked about the car. The car exists outside. It also exists in my screen of my mind. And, and when something happens to that, because it's happening, somebody scratched the car, you think it is happening as me. The scratch has happened to me, as me, you know, because you have lost your identity in the identity of the car. This can be a person. You go to the school, the teacher is your kids have told you something, teacher tells you something different, and because you are, it's so much attached to your son, and you want to believe your son what you have, and you don't want to believe what the teacher is saying. I'm just saying a hypothetical example. If you are attached to that opinion, whatever your son may be saying, or if you are attached to uh, a belief system that you have, it exists inside your mind as well as outside. They say you see the world as how you are based on your attitude with which we look at the world. You see? So it's so important. If you need to move from illusion to a state of awareness, you need to lose this identity of what you have attached yourself to. And the clue for it, I am doing this myself, is whenever you become emotional, you need to really understand this truth that there is some subtle or attachment that you have in your mind. It could be a person, it could be an object, it could be a belief system. And the moment you lose that identity, that is when you are able to move up this arrow. Because you lose the identity of what you have created in your mind. So if in this a car example, if I am not identifying with the car, I'll do what is needed to fix. I will not create anger or irritation because of the scratch happened to the car or the damage happened to the car. I will learn to deal with it, but I will not be sorrowful, angry, or anything. Because car is a thing. It's just there to take me from A to B. And it's got damage, I need to fix it. I don't need to get angry. But because of these attachments, we have learned to justify these attachments, justify these emotions. So when you practice, I agree it's not easy because there may be trauma in the conscious mind of people. So that kind of, like I said, some people may be attached to that memory of what has happened to them. And the moment you see that person, you already come into that feeling of negativity that you are experiencing, and you're not able to control your behavior. You see? So that's because you have identified with that person, with that person and with that act, and because of which you are so attached that you cannot, you already, because of that illusion that they are creating this in your mind, you have already experiencing that emotion of hatred, anger, irritation, anxiety, fear, all these emotion as a feeling. So when you experience this feeling, you need to know there is an attachment or a subtle attachment which you need to work on. So this is a very high state of awareness because of me. You see, this is when you start learning to see the speciality in others, not their weakness. You learn to see their speciality. See, we told originally the soul or the consciousness is a being, pure being of peace, love, and happiness. And when you are able to see that and not see them through the wrong act they are doing, you be the cause for them to see your speciality and or their speciality, and they reflect it back to you. Somebody is shouting at you, uh, trying to manipulate you. You calmly look at them and think, this soul has a negative karma account with me. This soul has lost power, maybe doing a wrong act. But originally he too or she too was a peaceful soul. I will not create emotions of anger or hatred towards that person. And I'll try to see them in their original identity of what they are. Like me, they too were a peaceful, powerful, loveful soul. Their act may be wrong, but I try and develop this ability. When I get into meditation and practice all these aspects which I am talking about, you learn to differentiate between the act and the person. You see, because he did this, I am feeling the way I'm feeling. Okay, this person has done a wrong act. I will respond based on whatever role I am doing. I need to respond, but I will only respond with love. I will not create anger or hatred. If I need to correct the person, I will correct with love. If the person doesn't listen, I will not get affected. This is a very high state of being, but please experiment. Whenever I have experimented, even though there may not have been immediate effect, the people have come back and, realized their own speciality. They reflect it back to you. So you be the cause of them seeing their own speciality, and then they will reflect it back to you. So, and then if we are able to do that consistently over a long period, whatever happens in the world, it happens through you. I'm not worried about anything, which means somebody praises me, somebody defames me, somebody tries to manipulate me, somebody tries to create this thing. It happens as if it is, you learn to be a detached observer, but learning to respond with the rule of love for the soul, love for the act. It's happening through me as if you achieve a level of equanimity towards attraction or repulsion, towards praise or defamation. And then you reach the highest stage where you exist for being service to the others, existing for others as an instrument. This is the highest state of awareness. Now, while I'm saying this, I am not claiming myself to be, but I jump between these things. The more I practice, I can promise you that you would move up this state of awareness. And this is where we need to get to. Know me, no sense of me. Because we have been taught that to own and possess is good. We have been taught by the society, by the parents, by everyone. Uh, and that's why we have become attached. That's a root cause of our attachment. Experiment with what I'm saying. You still strive your best for achieving the right results, but you learn not to be worried about the outcome when you are able to achieve this high state of awareness. Now, we need help from someone for this. So, especially for people who have been affected with trauma, if there is some kind of trauma which has been caused by some event, someone, situation, and so, you are not able to control that emotion when that person is coming near you, or if it's a person that's caused the trauma, or a situation, you know, if something has happened there in your subconscious mind, all the soul never dies, it carries on. And so if there's an impression of fear left in the soul, in the subconscious mind, so if the trigger comes, the person may feel that sense of fear when the trigger comes, and they may not know the reason, because it's there in your subconscious mind. So you need, if it's in the conscious mind, it's something that may have happened to you during your current life, where you have someone or something has caused something to happen, because of which you feel uh, there is a trauma in your mind. So that, because if you are, when faced with such people or situations, you come into the feeling of being emotional, then the only way to deal with it is take the help of the Supreme Soul, because you need the knowledge. What we learn helps us to change the way we think, but we need accurate connection with the Supreme Source of all these powers to change the way we feel. What we call as sanskars, are personality traits that are deeper than habits. you know so for that, that is for changing the way we feel. We need the help of the Supreme Soul. We need to learn how to connect to the Supreme Soul. And you see, the Supreme Soul is the same for all beings. There's no separate for, it's only for people who praise him. He is there. No, no. He is a source of energy, full of peace, love, and happiness, always vibrating at a frequency. Now, to get the touching, we need to learn how to cut out these waste thoughts, because they block. If the ego is conscious, the soul, you cannot get the touching of the Supreme Soul. So, we say, if you surrender your weakness, like if you're feeling whatever feeling that you are experiencing, you don't know if it's in your subconscious mind, you don't know why you are experiencing that. And you may know if it's due to this one. As long as you don't have a selfish desire, as long as the ego is not conscious, you are just surrendering your weakness to the Supreme, you will get a touching of what needs to be done, so that that feeling can go away. But for that, the important condition is you cannot have any selfish desires. You see, these kind of selfish desires, you know, will block this energy, block the touching. You won't get it. So if we learn how to get rid of these desires, needs, attachments, thoughts about past and futures, all these kind of thoughts block. We know that, it's been scientifically proven that we have 50 to 60,000 thoughts, but 80% of most of the people's thinking is about negative. It's about some desire or need. The advertisers, the social media, the movies, they've all made, they cleverly know how to position a product, so that we, like I said earlier, we create the need for or the desire for that product. We already, even before we have bought the product, we have already created that in our mind. So it's already existing in our mind, even though the product is still in the shop. You have attached, because a very popular person is advertising that product, and you create a desire becomes a need becomes a desire. When you have all these, and you become attached, and we talked about attachment, thoughts about past, future, all these, body conscious or ego, when your ego is conscious, it blocks the connection with the Supreme. So when you surrender your intellect, when you surrender truly, you know, when you are surrendering your ego, and you are just not wanting anything from the world or for your children or anything, you are just surrendering your weakness, so that whatever feeling, emotion that you are experiencing, you are surrendering that, you will get a touching. It's what you need to do to get rid of that. And I've personally experienced this. And I'm still saying when the ego is conscious, when you are doing a quick reaction because of some button being pressed or this one, you can't have the presence of the Supreme Soul, presence of the divine. You need, but when the ego is surrendered, when the intellect is surrendered, you have the connection with the Supreme. And you, I promise you, you will get the touching as long as you don't have a selfish desire. So I wanted to speak for um, 45 minutes. I think almost I've just gone over my limit. So I'll stop here. Would you have any questions for me?
Bobby sir, good evening.
Good evening. Please drop the sir, Ashwini.
It's okay, sir. Okay, my question is, okay, whenever our phone gets hanged, we used to restart. Normally, we used to put a restart button to no to restart. You know what? Whenever the phone gets hanged, so how will we restart our mind? That is my question. Because because whenever we are stuck, because I wish I had a restart button or something. Unfortunately, I don't. So how can we restart our mind when we stuck in every in the trauma situation or something similarly like that?
Excellent question. So, one of the powers of the soul is something called, the power to put a full stop. Of course.
Yeah.
See,
Mhm.
because the mind, mind's natural nature is to create thoughts. You see, mind is
Right.
also where we feel the feeling. See, science always deals with aspects that can be proved through sense perceptions. You see,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
that's why, science struggles when it comes to explain out of body experiences, near death experiences, and things like that. Because you're
Mhm.
talking about the energy. We know, we have learned in science energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. But have you really identified with you the energy?
Mhm.
You are identifying with Ashwini, uh,
Mhm.
the cricket star, Ashwini, the
Mhm.
professional, etc., right? So,
Right.
and when that, whatever you have identified gets disturbed due to this
Okay.
attachment,
Mhm.
your mind goes into a strain because you are conditioned to be like that. So
Mhm.
you need to learn to,
Mhm.
you need to treat the mind like a child, treat it
Okay.
with
Mhm.
love, and you
Mhm.
learn to make it peaceful. You see, like
Mhm.
you are
Mhm.
treating, when your child is growing up, even it does
Mhm.
something naughty, you learn
Mhm.
to deal with it in a kind manner, right? You have to
Mhm.
have the same approach to your mind. But for
Mhm.
that, you need to learn to appreciate silence. You need to understand your mind first.
Mhm.
And when those thoughts and then you develop, it's not like you achieve, you learn programming skills. You need to learn to how to calm the mind down. That you can
Mhm.
achieve through meditation.
Mhm. Meditation,
Meditation is
correct.
meditation is the key to
Mhm.
really get the
Mhm.
mind to understand you the energy.
Mhm.
So if
It's
you
sort of tuning your mind, right? Sir?
yes, so you need to, I told you, you because the thoughts keep coming so quickly, depending on how
Correct.
troubled you are. Every
Mhm.
soul's journey is very different. It's very
Mhm.
unique. You see,
Mhm.
based on the trauma that you may have suffered or somebody else, you cannot compare yourself to any other soul, as I was saying in the beginning part
Mhm.
of the talk. So
Mhm.
you need to be patient also. You cannot achieve these quick results. It's not like, you learn a skill, you go into doing some programming because you know how to program. It's not like, so the same thing you need to learn to see your mind, understand your mind, and to calm the mind down. That you can do
Mhm.
through meditation.
Right.
You will learn to appreciate silence not as an absence, but as a presence.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then, that is when your conscience become active. Because,
Mhm.
most of us, our conscience is not, because we have become so conditioned, justifying our own wrong acts and that
Mhm.
the voice of conscience becomes,
Mhm.
uh, you know, slow. I mean, finally, it becomes silent because we
Mhm.
justify our own wrong acts, like our
Mhm.
anger and things,
Mhm.
because of some act there
Mhm.
outside. So the
Correct.
answer is experiment with meditation.
Fine,
and
sir. Got it.
learn to understand your mind,
Mm,
and then
mm,
slow the thoughts down. And as slow, you will be able to see, that you will be able to be in that position of a detached observer.
mhm,
Like Krishnamurti, the
mhm,
great Indian philosopher, said, to
mhm,
observe without judgment is the
mhm,
highest form of human intelligence.
mhm,
It's so tough. When I
mhm,
tried initially, it was so tough because when you see something, you are already judged.
mhm,
To observe it without judgment,
mhm,
that is, we talked in the
mhm,
earlier slide,
mhm.
to lose that identity of what we are attached to is not easy. Because of that identification is the reasons why we have judged as soon as that something happened. So to
Correct.
observe without
Mm,
judgment and to respond based on your role is a skill which you can
mhm,
acquire.
mhm. Got it. Mhm.
Please experiment.
Sure. Definitely, definitely.
Anyone else? I see.
Hello.
Oh, hello, hello.
Hi.
How are
Hello.
you? Hi.
Hi. Excellent talk, Mr. Bobby. We
Oh,
really enjoyed
yeah,
it.
drop the Mr.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to ask you a quick question because meditation, you said that meditation is important and being aware of ourselves all the time and being kind to ourselves. But when you are, so I have a son. So when you are raising a child, how can we incorporate these ideas to the child as well? So when the parent is meditating, of course, the child might be quite young to understand the concept of meditation. So how can we incorporate these thoughts because it's beneficial even from a very young age? I assume, and it would probably be very handy for the kids to handle difficult situations. So instead of meditation, how can we incorporate ideas uh, about of detachment and of being selfless and handling expectations for our younger generation as we are in this journey ourselves.
Yeah, you see, first of all, you need to appreciate the fact that our kids today, they are subject to social media, subject to peer pressures. You really need to understand the environment which they are operating in. And but you know, give them the meditation. They can enter into meditation by doing some affirmations, things
Mm,
like that, which they will then experience the feeling of my friend's son. When last time I spoke to him. He's around 11-year-old boy, and he said, just so he said, oh, if you can, oh, can you achieve really peace through meditation? So he's saying, the peaceless thoughts are there when somebody is trying to bully him or something like that. But
mm,
so that became interesting. Now, the important thing is to get them to come into the feeling of peace. So that can be achieved, through this meditation. So even if it's at that age, even 5 minutes when there is a young ambassadors program which is being
mm,
experimented in all the schools in UK, in some of the
mm,
schools, definitely in London area, and they have found it extremely successful. They are
mm,
called young ambassadors of peace, where
mm,
they come into this environment and experience some of these as a feeling.
mm,
When they experience, and that is the proof. There's a lot of things we cannot achieve by words, you see.
mm.
Help them to come into that feeling, and then, they will start doing things themselves, exploring it themselves. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
welcome. Anyone else?
So,
Newton, you're from
Bobby,
yeah, yeah, sure.
yeah. So where does Maya come into all this?
Okay, now this is a public talk, so some people may not be aware of what Maya is, but because you have asked me that question, it's um, it's it's our own negative patterns of thinking, which we have created over many lifetimes. I talked about the subconscious mind and conscious mind.
Yeah.
You see, so the why do you get a particular pattern of thinking when something happens? Even if you have twins, you are a mom, I presume, and
Yeah.
Um, so even if there are twins, they are born in the same environment, same educational background, everything is the same. But when there's a stimuli, you can see both of them responding in a very different way because the thought patterns happens due to sense perceptions, due to memory and associations, due to a trauma in the conscious mind and subconscious mind. These are all reasons why a particular thought pattern happens. You see, and Maya, what you is basically a negative thought patterns that takes us away from the awareness of being a being. You see, and that is the reason. And the easiest thing is when we come into an emotion, we really need to understand that there is a subtle attachment somewhere. We need to get rid of that attachment or create a relationship of non-attachment to whatever we are attached to. Now, when it is in the subconscious mind, it's not easy because we may not even know what it is, like spheres, things like that. Like
Mhm.
if you have situations where you have you don't know why you are feeling angry when you are being with a particular person who presses your button. Same thing when it's happening with some other person, you are not feeling the same way. You don't know the reason for it. So that's where you need to take the help of the Supreme Soul because you are surrendering your negative feeling to the Supreme Soul, not wanting the other person to behave in a different way. Then it becomes a selfish desire. Okay.
Thank you.
Uh, Anyone else, please? I think we have come to end of time. I've gone over time. Rosita, I think you have unmuted. Would you have any question for me, please? Or anybody else? So I think we have come to end of
Sorry,
time.
I was sorry.
Oh,
I'm only churning your knowledge, and that was really fantastic. And thank you that you remind us about all of this subconscious mind and all of this kind of thing. Thank you.
oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
As these are all not my knowledge. This is the knowledge of the Brahma Kumari Spiritual University, and our endeavor is to move up that arrow to the state of awareness and get closer to the Supreme Soul, and then everything would be okay.
Obviously, thank you.
Thank you. So I think we have gone 10 minutes over time. Shall we end with a minute of meditation? Sitting comfortably. Let's come into the awareness of who we really are. I'm not this body, not this role, but I am a peaceful, powerful, loveful, blissful point of light, point of energy. I have come into this physical world from my spiritual home to play a part. I am like a guest in this body and also in this physical world. I am observing this physical world like an invisible observer. The uniqueness of my observing is that I have zero attachments to what I am observing. Because I know I have an exit. What is the point in holding on to things, claiming things, clinging to things, when I know I have an exit? So let's experiment with this, having this relationship as a trustee, using everything, using my body, using the objects, using the things I need to use in the consciousness of being a trustee, fully responsible, but not creating ownership. When I create thoughts of ownership, there's always the sense of loss that can happen. When I create sense of ownership, it may be in my name, but when I create that sense of ownership, I create an attachment. And when anything that I am attached to gets disturbed, lost, threatened, or moved, I become emotional. So when I am in this consciousness, every moment happens to be an extraordinary gift. There is that natural experience of gratitude. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for
Bye.
all your questions. And sorry I went a bit over time. And have a great evening. Om Shanti.
Thank you.